Hi, my name is Ashley and I'm a mom of two little girls. I have a 4-year-old named Kylie and I also have a 2-year-old named Mia. Now, I feel like the videos that I post on my channel that are part of this Montessori at Home series are typically pretty informational. My goal is to teach you some aspect of Montessori, but today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's something that was actually highly requested by you guys when I started talking about it over the last couple of weeks, and I've been working really hard to put it together for you, so I'm excited to share it. So from one busy parent to another, today I would like to take you along behind the scenes with me as I began the process of decluttering all of my girls' Montessori toys and activities. Okay, so I want to start off by clarifying one thing. I am not decluttering our entire toy and book collection in this video. I specifically chose to focus just on the Montessori style toys and activities that we actually store downstairs in what we call our homeschool closet, which I will show you more of in just a little bit here. But the rest of the girls' toys, like the more open-ended stuff, like the blocks and Legos and magnet tiles and dolls and things like that, those are all stored upstairs in the girls' bedrooms and in like their little loft play area that they have just outside of their rooms. That said, I have been working on decluttering those things as well, but I don't think that that's something that I'll make an entire video dedicated to. This I thought was a little more interesting for you guys. So let's go ahead and talk about what is going on downstairs with the homeschool closet. So as my older daughter got to preschool age, I started realizing that a lot of the materials that I was curating for her were very specifically focused on a particular area of learning. And so I decided at that point to kind of divide up our storage closet downstairs into a series of bins that matched all of the different areas of learning that she would find in a preschool environment, because I started homeschooling her around the time that the pandemic started. And as of right now, we are still homeschooling. I'm pretty sure we will be homeschooling all the way through the end of the school year. So this is a system that is still working really well for us, and it's something that I don't plan to change anytime soon. Now, over the last couple of months, I've started to notice that I have been feeling very stressed out, like sometimes physically stressed out over the idea of even opening the door to that closet and having to dig something out of there that I needed for the girls. And I knew like that was a clear red flag. It's time to do something about it, which is why I am so excited that I have finally began a journey to minimalism in earnest. Not like full on, did you just move in, bare walls minimalism, but minimalism to the extent that we're really paring down only to what we use and need on a regular basis. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, back to the point. I was feeling very, very overwhelmed by what was in this closet. And to be honest, it's a very fortunate problem to have. Like, we have been so fortunate, I am very aware of this, that we have had the opportunity to even be able to accumulate so many amazing things for our girls to learn and play with. As somebody who does social media for a full-time job, I am approached by lots of sponsors for doing sponsored content. And I've also been very fortunate that we have very generous friends and family. And so a lot of the things that are in there were actually gifted to us. Only a very small fraction of the things that are in the closet are things that we've actually spent our own money on. And so it's been great. It has been absolutely wonderful, but I just really felt like it's time to declutter and get rid of the things that I know they're not using, that I would be much happier knowing are in a home where they are being used and loved on by a child. And so that was my motivation to begin this process. Because the bottom line is, my husband and I really both want our girls to appreciate what they have. We want them to care and respect for their things because they know that it is a privilege to have those things. Both my husband and I came from very humble backgrounds in our own childhoods. We did not have everything under the sun. We were not spoiled by any means. And I want my children to know that feeling, to know that appreciation. Now let's dive into what the actual decluttering process looked like. As I said, the closet was fairly organized in the sense that I have bins for everything, but really what I needed to tackle was going through each bin specifically and pulling out all of the things that I knew we were never using or that we were not going to use anymore because the girls had outgrown it. So for each bin, what I did was take it over to a table where I could really easily see the contents of the box. I took out everything one by one, and as I did, I was kind of mentally sorting for myself, like, okay, this is something we definitely want to keep, and this is something that we haven't used lately, and I would set it off to the side in its own pile. And then for some of the bins, I found that I actually had a third pile for things that needed to be reorganized into a different bin altogether. By the time I was done, I had pretty solid piles of what I knew I was keeping, and all of that would then get put back into the box and put back into the homeschool closet. And then thankfully I ended up with a pretty sizable pile out of every box of things that I knew I was going to donate. So I went through this exact process for all 9 of the boxes. And I actually found by the time I was done that I had freed up an entire box, and I decided to use that one to create a new category that I did not have before, which were all of the materials that I had created for specific unit studies. So I sorted all of the materials into their own gallon-sized Ziploc bags and labeled them so that I could easily refer back to them whenever my younger daughter, Mia, is old enough to start doing those activities. They'll be really easy for me to pull out. Now in the closet above the 9 boxes, I actually have a shelf that contains a series of other odds and ends, like a little storage bin full of some of the wooden trays that we use on our shelf for activities, as well as another bin that has nothing but little baskets in it to contain pieces for the activities, as well as a bin that I use for what I call my go-backs. So anything that I'm pulling out of rotation, but I don't want to necessarily like open up all the bins to put it away right then and there. That's like my little holding space for it until the next time I'm able to. And then I also have up there a container for storing all of the little sets of Safari LTD figurines that we have for language work, as well as a ball tracker. So at the end of all of this, I also decluttered the 2 bins that I have that hold the trays and the baskets too. There were a couple in there that I know that I never use, so I just took them out and freed up a little bit of space inside those bins too. Now I know some of you who are watching the video are wondering to yourself, why on earth did you keep an entire bin full of Montessori baby toys when your girls are not babies anymore? Wasn't the point of this to get rid of the stuff that they've outgrown? And ordinarily the answer would have been yes, and all of that would have been gone. But as I shared with you in a previous video, I have plans to eventually start my own Montessori playgroup for babies, like an in-person one. And so I want to keep all the materials that I have that I could potentially use for that group. I'm keeping those and kind of setting them aside for that time. I don't know that this closet is the perfect place for storing that, but for right now, it's not really bothering me to have it there, so I'm just keeping it in the closet. But yeah, that's why I kept an entire bin of baby stuff. If and when the day comes that I decide perhaps maybe that I'm not doing it, then I will definitely be letting go of those materials to free up space. But for now, they're staying. So at the very end of this decluttering process, I know it's hard to see, like once everything is all stacked up again, it kind of just looks the way it did before. But I know, because I'm the one that looks at them every day, that I was able to get rid of a really good chunk of the stuff that was in there, roughly half if I had to estimate. And so that is really exciting. So the final question is, what exactly did I do with all of the stuff that I took out of the boxes? Well, I thought long and hard about this because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just going to end up in a landfill somewhere. Like that would absolutely break my heart, because we take really good care of the things that we own. And so they were all in excellent condition. And I really wanted to make sure that I found a good home for them. So what I did was I actually I have a friend who has 2 little girls who are literally about a year younger than both Kylie and Mia, and equally like distant from each other in age. So all of the things that I was getting rid of that the girls had outgrown were perfect for her 2 little girls. And so I gave her a call and I was like, hey, are you interested in any of the stuff that we are planning to donate? And she was like, yes, absolutely. So I took a picture of all of my little donation piles each day that I went through a bin, and then she kind of got to pick and choose what she thought would be great for her girls. And I put those things aside for her, and then the rest of it I put into a general donation pile. But here's the thing, I think she ended up taking about 80% of the stuff that I pulled out. So I am so incredibly excited to know that these things are going to have a new life with 2 other little girls who are going to appreciate them so much. and I'm really happy about that. The other 20% of the stuff was really things that were like little activities that I had created that were like a flop with the girls. They didn't really like them, and where I was able to, I actually recycled those, and then anything that was left I put into my general donation pile, along with all of the other things that my husband and I have been decluttering for the last couple of weeks in our home. And we actually took our first big haul today down to Goodwill, and we were able to make one big nice donation to Goodwill of all of those things. So it included those remaining toys, as well as like some clothing that the girls had outgrown and things, and also some housewares that we had pulled out of our kitchen and other areas of our home. I did also recently go through our girls' book collection for the second time actually. We did this a couple of months ago already and pulled out all of the baby books and donated them to a friend who has a baby that was like, yes, we will take them. So this was actually the second time that I've tried to cull down their book collection a little bit. So I went through actually with my girls' help, because they love books and I didn't want to accidentally get rid of something that they then asked me for later and were heartbroken that it was gone. So they actually sat down with me and I pulled out every book that we own off of the shelf and I said, what about this one? And they either said, no, we love that one, or they went, nah, and I put it in our donation pile. So when I was all done with that, I was able to put those into a box along with some of the parenting books that I felt I was ready to let go. I had gotten everything that I needed out of those books and I was ready to pass them on to someone else. So I put all of them together in one box, was what it came out to. And I called up my local library and they were willing to accept donations of books. So I was happy about that. So we dropped off all of those books at the library as well today when we did our Goodwill drop off. And yeah, that was the entire process. So from here, next steps, I am definitely not done decluttering. This was just step one. From what I have learned, there is something referred to as the onion method. And I think that this is kind of like the first layer of our onion. I really just went through and pulled out everything that I knew we weren't using or that we weren't going to use in the future. But there are definitely still more things that could be removed from our materials closet for sure. Right now, I told you I'm homeschooling, and pending the girls being able to go back to school in person in August, which fingers and toes crossed they will be able to do. At that point, I will be able to get rid of a lot of the more specific homeschool learning kind of activities that I had saved. I can let those go at that point. But until that day comes, I want to make sure that I hold on to all of those just in case I need them for another year of homeschooling. But I really do feel like this is just the beginning. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and do this process again in another 6 months, another year, and kind of reevaluate where we're at that point. Because really, I would like to be able to get it down to the point that I don't even really need that closet. Maybe I only need a small part of the closet, but certainly not the entire thing, because to me that feels like too much. It really does get under my skin sometimes when I see comments on Montessori videos or in Montessori groups and chats out in social media where people are saying, you have to be rich to do Montessori, because that is so not true. I know you guys who have been here for a long time watching my videos already know this, but it's not about the stuff. I feel like it bears repeating. It's not about the stuff. It is about the respect, the relationship with your child. It's about your own perspective as a parent. And I think that there really tends to be this misconception that it is about the stuff, because that's what you often tend to see on social media. And I will take full responsibility for the fact that as an influencer, I have worked with brands that have asked me to promote things on my channel, things that I think are of great value to people who need them, who maybe don't have the time or the resources to, put things together for their child, and they do have a budget that they're willing to spend on things like that. And I think they're wonderful, but I don't think that they're necessary. And so I really want to take a step back this year when it comes to the Montessori content and really focus on these other more important aspects of it and less about the stuff part of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm really excited about this process, if you guys can't tell. So I'm hoping that you will be here for it and that you'll be just as excited about it as I am. All right, friends, so that is all I have for you today. If you want to see more content that is related to this topic of minimalism and decluttering and anything kind of even remotely related to that, please feel free to tell me that in the comments down below. I do read all of your comments, even though I don't have time to respond to every single one of them, try as I might. I do read read all of them. So I would love to hear what you guys are looking for as far as the Montessori content goes going forward. And obviously, if you have any questions, definitely leave those in the comments too, and I will do my best to get to them. So if you're interested in learning more about Montessori at home or positive discipline parenting, I offer a couple of e-courses that walk you through it step by step. I also just wrote my very first book called The Montessori Home, Create a Space for Your Child to Thrive, and I will leave links to all of that down below in case you're interested in checking it out. And if you are new to my channel, I also wanted to let you know that this video is part of a much larger series on this YouTube channel called Montessori at Home, which is aimed at providing practical tips and advice for busy parents like you and I for implementing Montessori at home with our children. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching more of, then you might consider subscribing to my channel. This way you don't miss a new video, because I do upload a new one just like this one every single week. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time.